All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Daily Rundown. Thank you for joining us this Memorial Day. My name is Roxanne. I'm the executive producer here at WDTV, and with me, as always, is Onavan. Or I shouldn't say as always, because you were actually out on Friday.
Yes.
And Emmeline was able to cover for you. So we're glad to have you back. If you guys notice, I sound a little bit run down now, so the sickness is kind of spreading around WDTV today, but that's okay because we're still here giving you guys the top headlines for the day. So let's just jump right into it,
Yeah.
I think. So we'll have a little bit more about what we're covering for Memorial Day specifically a little bit later in the show, but let's first go to some of the top headlines. This one actually broke over the weekend, and we had a little bit about this last week as well when Ayla Wind first was reported missing. So her body, unfortunately, has been found, or I guess fortunately that it has been found. Unfortunately, she has been found dead in Greenbrier County, and her mother has actually been charged with her murder. So she was reported missing last week. She's 26 years old, and she was reported missing by her mother. That's her here, Stacy Wind. Originally, she had filed the missing persons report for Ayla on May 18th. At the time, she had told police that Ayla had gone camping with an unknown friend at an unknown location. Her last contact, at least what she told police, was on Friday, May 15th, around 4:30 p.m., and she said that Ayla had texted her saying that she had stopped at a gas station for snacks and that she hadn't been heard from since. So on Saturday, Stacy was arrested at her home on Riverside Drive for Ayla's murder. She's now being held in the Central Regional Jail with no bond set. No more information has been released at this time. And police say the incident is still under investigation, so they haven't released any more information about how this arrest came about. So if they do tell us more information, we'll make sure to keep you guys updated for that. Moving on to a top headline from today, though, Vin.
So the Public Service Commission of West Virginia has scheduled 4 public comment hearings next month for the Mid-Atlantic Resiliency Link, a proposed transmission line that would pass through Monongalia and Preston counties. The line would cover over 100 miles from Pennsylvania through West Virginia and Virginia. Officials say almost 60 miles of the line would cross through West Virginia. Landowners in the area have previously voiced concerns that the project will ruin people's farms and negatively impact the West Virginians. However, the company behind the project, NextEra Energy, argues the line will benefit the state's electrical grid, also saying it has identified ways to minimize impact on landowners. Public comment meetings will be held on June 14th, 5th, June 4th, 5th, 10th, and 11th.
And those dates you can see on your screen now with where they are. So if you're in the Mon County or Preston County region, those will be on June 10th and June 11th. So that information is also on our website if you're curious about the project or if you want to attend one of those meetings. And this has been something that we've covered pretty extensively in the past. So like Onavan said, a lot of residents have expressed concern about this. Of course, NextEra Energy has said that it's going to benefit the region. So if you're one of the concerned residents, you can feel free to take part in those meetings. I'll put them up on screen one more time if you want to take note about when those meetings will be held and where they will be. Let's go now to what our reporters are working on today, though. So we have a lot of Memorial Day specific coverage today. So Patrick is going to the 159th Grafton Memorial Day Parade. So that's held in Grafton every year to honor fallen service members. He will also be at the West Virginia National Cemetery, also in Grafton, and they also have an annual celebration every year to honor service members who have lost their lives in the line of duty. Governor Patrick Morrisey will be in attendance of that to that event today. So Patrick will hopefully have an interview with him and maybe Grafton city officials for more about what this event means for Grafton and for West Virginia as a whole. But Carrington's covering something not related to Memorial Day,
Yeah.
maybe, but also honoring kind of a local veteran
Yeah.
and what he's doing.
So she is interviewing John Michael Lane, a Marine Corps veteran and an author. He recently released a new book called Seasons of Ash, a post-apocalyptic survival story set largely in Green Bank and the surrounding Appalachian region. From the press release, the novel is inspired in part by the real 1815 eruption of Mount Tambora. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. One of the most powerful volcanic eruptions in recorded history. The novel imagines a modern-day global catastrophe that darkens skies, collapses infrastructures, and forces isolated Appalachian communities to adapt and survive.
So it seems like, an Appalachia-centered novel.
Yeah.
So not, or I guess based loosely on real events, but imagined in a different way. So he was actually at the station earlier doing his interview with Carrington. So she'll have more about his novel. And like I said, he is a Marine Corps veteran. So
Yeah.
I think another fitting story on Memorial Day, also honoring veterans who have served. So, and I forgot to write it on our sheet here, but she also was in Clarksburg today covering another Memorial Day specific event. So Lowe's home improvement stores around the area and around the nation are celebrating veterans today as well. So the one here on MLA Drive dedicated a parking space to veterans for
nice.
Memorial Day. So they set up like a bench with flowers and things like that where people could sit and remember their family members. So
That's nice.
she'll also have more about that. So those will all be on the 5 o'clock show today. Also today we'll talk a little bit about what's happening nationally on Memorial Day. So this is something that happens every year, but President Donald Trump is commemorating Memorial Day by delivering remarks and participating in a wreath-laying ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. So this already happened earlier today, so you can see some of that footage now, but we'll have more about that ceremony. It's something that the president usually takes part in every single Memorial Day. So President Trump was also honoring that tradition today at Arlington National Cemetery. So that's all we have right now for top headlines for today. Again, a lot of Memorial Day coverage.
Yes.
And you guys are kind of talking about that too.
Yeah, the Memorial Day
Fun.
fun does not end with your guys' headlines. It also is in the 4 o'clock today. It's part of our Word on the Street. I am not doing Baloney or Believe It on that today, just because I feel like that's kind of like a little bit of a harder one.
Right.
But we're going with summer. So just like
Okay.
a light heart, something fun.
Yeah.
We just have a crazy show today. Like, we have a hot dog, I think, today.
A hot dog on the show?
Yeah, like a human hot dog.
Okay. I'm
intrigued.
I'm not sure what that means.
I'm not either.
But I like how you it's funny because you produced the show for Holly and Vince, but I feel like regardless, like we're always surprised about what's going on.
So Holly and Vince are very like, they like to have certain controls of certain things. So they take control of like the guests, and I don't get like a ton of information on that. But like
Right.
all the other stuff, like Baloney or Believe It, I'm in charge of that. Word on the Street, I like input all that. So like the guest is kind of like their thing. So that's
Holly
my
does
element
book
of
all
surprise.
the guests.
Yeah.
She's very much like the person in charge of
Yes.
who's coming on the show. So the hot dog person is a guest who
Yes.
is on the show.
Yes.
Okay. I'm curious about that.
I'm intrigued too, because like I said, that's like my big element of surprise with the show
Yes.
daily is like, who's our live guest? What
Well,
are they
and
here for?
even if you do know who's coming on, you never know kind of what energy they're bringing to the
Yes.
show. It's always really interesting to see, like, what kind of characters we
Mhm.
get. Because, of course, there's a lot of, like, city officials maybe
Yeah.
that come on the show, but there's also, like, things like this where it's
Hot
like
dogs.
a hot dog, yeah. Which is, like, that's the fun of the
That was
fours.
just the
There's
thing-
always, like, something, that you can't account for
Yeah.
everything for the
The hot
floor.
dog part of it was just like the main thing that stuck with me today.
Yes.
So that was the thing I felt was necessary to mention.
Right. I mean, that makes sense. You obviously weren't here on Friday, but Emmeline and I actually had like a long discussion about hot dogs.
Did you really?
Yes, because we were talking about Memorial Day sides
Okay.
for the cookouts,
Yes, yes.
Memorial Day cookouts. And I don't know how we got on the tangent of hot dogs, but we were talking about if a hot dog is like a seasonal meal, because I feel like
That's fair.
I eat hot dogs like in the summer or like at a baseball game,
Yes.
But here, like you have T&L hot dogs, and I feel like, it's not just open during the summer.
Yeah,
You know,
someone
it's
has to keep them
year-round.
open.
Right, exactly. So, anyway, it's just funny that we were talking about hot dogs
And now we have,
last week, and now we're back to hot dogs this week.
maybe it's a sign that we all need to go out for hot dogs.
Maybe so. I mean, it is Memorial Day. I feel like if you're having like a cookout, which I know it's like raining all of this
Yeah.
weekend and today, so I don't know if a lot of people are having cookouts, but I feel like that's a very normal, meal to eat on Memorial Day if you're having a cookout is a hot dog. So it is kind of the time of year for that.
It's a good thing you can make hot dogs inside. You can make
That's
hot
true.
dogs on your stove. But the First of Four has a ton of stuff today. It's a very tight show again today. They got crazy stuff, so you'll have to tune in.
I also know that Vince found this story about taps.
Yes.
So the song "Taps" that is played, in remembrance of service members, and all about this one gentleman who has dedicated his life to playing taps in the most
Yeah.
reverent way that he can. So I got a sneak peek of that story today. So hopefully you guys will also like that. I know Vince said he was getting kind of misty eyed.
Yeah, I was here to say Vince was getting a little teary eyed today
Right.
talking about
So-
it too. So
That's going to be a really special story for you guys today too.
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, make sure you guys to tune in to the First at Four with Holly and Vince for all of the more Memorial Day stuff that you guys are talking about today, and summer centric, hot dog centric stuff. And then of course the 5 o'clock show and all of our evening shows tonight for our top headlines, more about local Memorial Day events, and of course even nationally what President Trump is doing today. But make sure to tune in tomorrow, 2 o'clock as always. But until then, we will see you later. Thanks for watching.